What is up, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Sunday night. That means it's at week's end. It's time to take a spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and more. And it's a special episode because we had the finale to James Gunn's Suicide Squad, wrong franchise, Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was actually worth talking about. So we've got a guest of panel people here tonight, and we're going to dive into it, break it down, and spoil the hell out of it. So don't go anywhere. Check this out. Sponsor plug, Big Time Collectibles. Check them out on social media and BigTimeCollectibles.com. They sponsor the monthly Legion Loot giveaway, which we'll be drawing for the winner of tonight. Also, if you need anything cleaner press, hit up my friend Justin over on Instagram. Let him know you found him via the channel to take advantage of the special offers for people to watch the channel. And a shout out to the local sponsor and local comic shop, the Augusta Book Exchange, who are currently closed and will be reopening at an all-new location this coming Tuesday and or Wednesday, depending on how quick the setup process goes. So if you're in the Augusta area, be sure to look them up and get ready to plan for that big grand opening event. So let's go ahead and bring in the panel. Join me, as always, is none other Paul Cook. What's happening?
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm good.
You know who else I would describe as tired but good?
You.
TM Nerdy.
What is up, everybody? I am tired, but I am sometimes good.
And bouncing back like cook crack, whipping him right back up. We got Chris, the comic vet, in the building. What is happening?
Cooked crap. Hey, that's exciting about
snaps back.
Book Exchange. That's wonderful news. Congratulations, Paul, if you're checking this out.
For sure. He might be a little busy right now. Pops had been driving back and forth, working with him all day, moving stuff. Because yesterday was the last day officially open at the location they've been at. They did Free Comic Book Day. It was a blast, had a huge event and everything. And then when they closed that night, next time the store opens is at the new location. It's perfectly timed.
Wonderful.
So sitting here staring off, grinning like an idiot, we have Mr. Beckerman.
Hi.
Hello.
It's your hair, silly goose. Come show. You know who want to see your frog hat? Mr. DJ.
Ribbit.
Hey, Finn.
I got a froggy on my head.
You do have a frog in your
My
head.
ball.
Oh, go glue it back on.
Now he's a frog pirate.
So when Kyle's at work, these kids go to bed on time. When Kyle's at home, they're making frog hats at bedtime.
So
this,
what are you trying to say, Mark?
This stream's about to be lit, Beckerman.
Are you anti-frog hat?
I'm pro frog hat. I'm just pro frog hat before 7 o'clock, I think.
I'm a fence sitter when it comes to frog hats.
Yeah, it's a good thing to be.
I didn't know there was a caveat to frog hats.
Oh, yeah, for certain. Most certainly. So let's say hey to the chat real quick and dive into the show. Let's Crucius 1971. What is going on? Glad you can make it. Dr. Von Hoot. Hoot, 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 hoot. I want to read this because he came here for the
What's
live.
happening?
Evening all. Unfortunately, I'm pretty knackered and we'll have to catch the replay. Guardians was easily the best Marvel since Endgame by some distance. Instant top 5 of all time Marvel movies for me. And we'll keep that in mind as we dive into this. Yeehaw! What is going on? Comics by the Bay. Trev, the shipping guru. Hello, hello. What is going on, William? Glad you're here. X11 Bravo is in the building. What is going on, brother? I realize how old I am when I watch Gleaming the Cube again.
Oh, some Christian Slater. Very good.
Pocan Joe, what is happening? See, Bizzle is in the building. Dale is here. KBDM is in the building. What is happening? Scrolling. DJ Links. Digger Jim, what is up? Red03, hello, hello.
What's up? What's up?
Oh my gosh. Flash by Night Comics, hello, hello.
Hey, bring me my frog hat.
Yeah. Exactly. Y'all should be fine. We did your hot pick for you. Yeah, that was a fun video. Brian LCS is in the building. Blah, 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 blah. All right, I'm going fast down this thing now. Warlord, what is happening? Phil, hello, hello. Pops, what is happening? Derek Kane is here. Canadian Survivalist, hello, hello. Chris, real quick, do you want to plug that show so I can go shut these kids down?
Okay.
The one you just uploaded.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the 100th episode of Two Cool Guys, Two Hot Picks just dropped just over about an hour ago. And Mark said, hey, man, let's just mail this one in and get other people to do all the work for us. So that's what we did. But all kidding aside, it's a hell of a lot of fun. A lot of guys had fun with it, kind of went their own direction. And yeah, and this gentleman right here, this guy had to work. The guy over there didn't really say much. And the guy up in the corner, yeah, what's up, man? No, you know what though? He's already been on the show before, so that's okay. And yeah, it's if you guys have a moment, check it out. And there's a lot of great picks that were picked this week.
It was fun.
And if you do watch it, let Mark and I know what your pick is for this upcoming New Comic Book Day, because this is a heavy week for great books coming out, and there's a lot of stuff that got left on the table. So like Mark says in the video, we're curious on what your pick is. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, it was really fun because
Thanks,
it was fun watching the all the different people and their picks. It was fun watching how many DC picks there were. It warmed my heart. I want to pretty much throw Durs out like a baby in the bathwater, but other than that, it was pretty solid.
I think Flashes was pretty good too. Street level.
Street level. That was dope.
You're gonna have to check out what that means.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So we have gathered here today on this first Sunday of the month to give away the Legion loot tonight. But before we do that, we're going to talk about. Thank you. Oh yeah, huge announcement. If you're watching, thank you so much to all the channel members. We crossed over 100 channel members yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, one of the two, but over 100 members in the Legion. So thank you to everybody who supports the channel, the subscribers, the members, all that good stuff. Tonight, we'll be drawing to see who wins the Legion loot, and that's the what Big Time Collectibles sponsors. And then I pick up books from the Augusta Book Exchange and add to it, and all the local shops that I can find stuff at. And so we'll see who wins that. But we got a stacked panel tonight to talk Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn's final installment in the Guardians franchise.
Hold up. I thought we were talking about Suicide Squad.
No, we'll do that next time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You led me to believe.
You know what's ironic is being that I love Suicide Squad so much, I wasn't even there for the Suicide Squad night. Ryan and Chris had to helm that one by themselves because I was like, that's when I was dying.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so Ryan and Chris held it down and did an awesome stream, and I was like in and out listening to it.
Of consciousness.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy that I missed the Suicide Squad show. Might have to go back and do that one day. Okay. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the final installment in the Guardians franchise that we know of. James Gunn's final installment with the House of Mouse that we know of, and
for now,
yeah. And I just on face value, we'll go around and give it our ratings. You know, like for me, I stick firmly by probably the most straightforward way of rating something you can, the color scale. So on the color scale, for me, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was super green, like right here. Which, if you watch this channel, you know I do not give Disney a free pass for shit. For nothing. And this was super green. Let's go around the horn. Paul.
All right, so I didn't get to see it, so I'll be over here if you need me.
TM, what do you got?
I rated it a 9.5 out of 10. I love this movie.
Chris, how many Maple Leafs did it earn?
4.5 Maple Leafs out of 5.
Oh, I thought you were going to go say 10. I was like, what? Get him off the panel.
Mine is, I've got it at an 8.4 out of 10, and I'm very harsh. I don't have a movie on my scale that goes over 9.4.
Wow. What movie is at 9.4? Give us an example of a
For comic book movies?
No, just movies.
No, this is just for comic book movies.
Fine, then why'd you ask?
Is it Tim Burton's Batman?
He said for comic book movies.
It's
I
not.
said no. He said yes.
9.4 is Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's
Yes,
fair.
sir.
Fair as shit.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
easily.
All right.
DJ Links, how many handies are we rocking tonight?
I think thinking about it, four out of 5 handies. 4 out of 5 handies. Manicured hands though.
Oh, dope. Nice.
Yeah, not just crackhead hands.
That's what's polished. I like it.
Yeah. Maybe a bracelet.
Let's dive into it. Keep going with it, DJ. What are your initial thoughts of the movie?
I really enjoyed it. There were some things that overall I enjoyed it immensely, right? So it's easier to pick on the things that I didn't like. So picking out the things that I didn't like the way that they handled Adam Warlock. All the stuff on, what did they call that place? Octogron or something? Where they went to, where Nathan Fillion was at?
The biological space station.
Yeah, that thing.
/ business offices.
Yeah, that could have been cut in half, that entire like sequence. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Very emotionally captivating and riveting. I teared up multiple times. Right from the very beginning, it set the tone. It opened up dark. It introduced the High Evolutionary as a badass. I thought he was one of the better villains that have come across the Marvel movies. Yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. Another thing that I was just like, when they if you missed the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, so you missed a couple of things. So you have to kind of watch that to get the whole Mantis is Star-Lord's sister type thing like that. So if you just glossed over it thinking it wasn't going to be affecting the canon, then you were wrong. So
there's some definitely important parts with like the sister thing, the fact that they're stationed HQ on nowhere now.
Nowhere. Exactly.
The dynamic with Drax and Mantis really comes from their adventures that we get to see, and it adds more weight to the way when he says, "I'm coming with you." She's like, "No." He's like, "But you need someone to protect you." No offense, but because you're weak.
Yeah, that when Drax was waving at the end, that got me, man. I was like, fuck.
Becker, what are your initials?
So High Evolutionary, I liked. There's and it's not limited to Disney. There's this thing in modern movies where they've got to give every villain this redeemable arc. Like this is like Gore. Gore's a prime example. He's the bad guy, but he's got a reason for it. No, finally, we just got a guy that's just tying people to train tracks for no other reason than that he's the bad guy. These are comic book movies. Not everything needs to be Shakespeare. We can have a cheeseburger and French fries. Like, I just like that they didn't try to humanize him at all. He's the bad guy.
Yeah, he had zero redeeming qualities.
He sucked.
And if he did have any redeeming qualities, no one would care one bit because of the way he conducts his business.
Exactly. He literally kicked puppies.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Yeah, he's just a bad hombre.
Shout out to him.
What are your initials?
I'm with DJ on the whole idea of Warlock. I thought they kind of mishandled the character just a little bit. However, I'm one of those. I grew up reading the High Evolutionary and the Evolutionary War through the mutant titles. I personally feel, especially with the actor they got and how they handled him, the High Evolutionary is one of those villains that they could have carried over a couple different movies. The way that they're doing with Kang, and I kind of feel they've spoiled Kang right now. And the High Evolutionary, he hit it out of the park. Like what he was doing gave me a whole new respect for what PETA does. Like the whole caging of the animals and not giving a rat's ass. But the one thing they got right about the High Evolutionary is he was never satisfied with what he was doing. Just when he makes himself a whole new planet, nope, I don't care. I'm on to the next one. Screw this. I see flaws with everything I'm doing there. But for me, the whole Cosmos arc, or Cosmo, whatever her name is properly, I thought fantastic. I really enjoyed what they did with that character. Like just enough comedy there, and then let her shine in the biggest moment possible. Yeah.
Okay, nothing against Will Poulter. Like I didn't mind. I didn't mind Adam Warlock because that's the role he was made to play, and I get like how he was just born, so he's kind of like a childlike mind in that, and that's why he was like who he was. So I didn't mind Will Poulter. I'm excited to see him in future movies, and see if Adam Warlock actually grows. With the High Evolutionary, he was a dick. I did not like that guy. Some parts I felt like I forget the guy who played him, but he kind of played it over the top a little bit. But maybe that was supposed to happen. But he just was kind of very dislikable, and to the point of DJ, like you're supposed to hate him, and there is no redeeming him at all. But it's the first villain that he doesn't die. He's probably going to come back in future movies and have more of that mechanical face in future movies, because he got it ripped apart at the end, because we've seen what it was like. So I'm excited to see that. I want to say that how everybody got a shine. Like this was much of a group movie like by far, like, and a High Evolutionary movie. I feel like they kind of like go hand in hand together to tell the story of Rocket Raccoon. But how James Gunn was able to tell the story of all of the Guardians and give them spotlights through this movie was fan-freaking-tastic. It makes me excited to see what happens over at DC, because Marvel, sorry, but you lost your
best asset.
Yeah. So I absolutely like this movie was just fantastic. And to have it like everybody thinking like, oh, they're gonna kill them and stuff. You had a perfect ending, perfect emotional ending, good way to go out. And I was thinking this after the movie. I was like, yeah, that is a good way to go out, because if you kill somebody out of this movie, that's just gonna ruin the movie for you at the end. And have them actually go their separate ways and everybody's still living. You're emotional, you're sad at the ending, but you also feel good that you've gone on this journey with these characters, and you get to say farewell to these characters as they go their separate ways.
Yeah, it felt almost like a high school prom or high school graduation, where it's just a celebratory atmosphere, but it's still super sad.
Some soft retirements.
So my initial was I announced like way before this is my final MCU movie. I'm done with the MCU. And when I say that, I mean like I'm not taking my time, my money, and going to a theater to watch a movie. I'll catch it when I catch it for free down the road. And I wanted this to be the last one because I've loved the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's James Gunn's last ride there. It's the Guardians' last ride. And I was hoping to go out on a high note, and I did not expect to go out on such a high note, because I just had a blast from start to finish with it. And TM hit the biggest thing. The nail on the head is James Gunn's storytelling in this, in the way that this isn't just like a single straight narrative. It's a story, but every character has their own story happening inside of this movie. None of it was neglected. None of it was rushed. Every bit of it was balanced flawlessly, and the execution for it, just, you can go back and just do a whole review of the movie from any character's perspective. And I think that's probably be the easiest way to go forward talking about it tonight, is just looking at different characters through the movie, possibly even. And I think we might as well start with Adam Warlock, because he's the brand new character that got brought into the movie, played by Will
Poulter.
And so he's been being built up for a minute. So I'm gonna put it out there. I didn't mind him at all. I did not expect him to be the comic relief of the movie, and he wasn't necessarily the comic relief because the whole movie's funny. He fit the mold of the movie. And he's a younger actor coming in to an MCU that's pretty much just who knows where it is. It's like a lost dog out in the field high on cocaine right now. And you have a character like him who comes in at that age. And we already seen what happens after you take a character and you run him for a couple of movies. You take a character, let's use my favorite example. You bring Thor in and you present him correctly. You present what the character is and who he is. And for some reason, you think if he shows up more than a couple of times, you have to change the character. Mm-hmm. And all you can do is run away from what it's supposed to be. So if they're planning on using Adam Warlock, and he even had moments in there where he's like, Mom, I'm the Warlock. I'm going to, you see him trying to make sense of things. And, he was just created. This is him walking out for the first time. So the only place that character has to go is to fill the proper boot. So I think that was a good intro. And being that it was in Guardians, it fit the tone of the movie as well. So I think if that character is going to succeed, James Gunn was smart enough to start him in a place where all you can do is take him to where he needs to go.
And even as a goofy baby, they made him OP as hell.
OP as shit. He was awesome.
What's OP?
Overpowered.
I know.
But DJ, what's your response to it? Because I know he's the one that's been splitting the fandom. Everyone seems to like the movie, but they have different takes on the Adam Warlock thing. So let's go around the horn again and hit on Adam Warlock.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't love him. I didn't hate him. I just was like, it could have been any character, really. So even by them, you know, it kind of felt forced with the High Evolutionary creating the Sovereign. Like that was just my thing. Like it could have been any bounty hunter, right? It could have been a new character. It could have been anybody from like the space stuff. It didn't necessarily have to be Adam Warlock. And I don't think they gave him enough for him to turn face at the end, right? So he's a good guy at the end. All of a sudden he's on the Guardians team in the post-credit scene and stuff like that. To your point, yes, you start him out low bar. He can only get better. But I'm apathetic to it.
I thought they missed the mark completely as soon as his mom died. I'm like, that's the turn. That should have been the turn, not him seeing the humanity, because he doesn't have any agency of his own, but he's kind of just mirrors.
Started off angry though. That worked.
Angry as shit.
Mom's dead, so furious. I mean, they treated him like a baby. Like everything was. He reacted to that. He didn't face turn right away, but he was mad for an extended amount of time and destructive. And then when he cooled down, he is like, to me, he was impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy for him to turn face because he doesn't know anything. Oh, my mom's dead. Well, you guys seem to know what you're doing. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Just really quickly on Chaos's comment right there. The part when Rocket first spoke and he said, hurts.
Oh my God.
I felt that shit in your chest. I was just like, oh man, I had to turn to the side. I was just like, it was just too much. Hurts.
Chris, tell us about what you thought of Adam Warlock.
I thought he came in guns a-blazing. Like, let's be honest, as soon as Radiohead's Creep was done, Rocket's in a whole world of trouble. And like Warlock is taking them through walls and just like, okay, buckle up, everyone. We're off to the races. I enjoyed that. And then I didn't enjoy. If you read, I'm sure DJ can back me up there, but if you read the Infinity Gauntlet, Adam Warlock is the most serious character that's going. And I read the FF and the trade where he's introduced as him and comes out of the cocoon and all that. So I get they modernize it and Hollywood's going to Hollywood it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the only part that I enjoyed where they were playing with the whole teenage angst kind of angle with him is when that one Ravager got left behind and his mom's like, show him what we're talking about. And then just he fries him. And I was just like, all right, that's good. This is not forced comedy. It's just comedic. And so that's one part I enjoyed when near the end, when Star-Lord was in some serious trouble. We'll get to that. I just thought in the back of my mind, Warlock is probably going to save the day here. And Warlock showed up. So yeah, the whole turning face thing, but
Chris, did you ever think he was silly, though? I never thought he became silly.
Just with the whole that quasi dog thing that I didn't feel like he needed that quasi dog as the character's own relief because he was introduced as the comedic portion of the movie. So I didn't think they needed that dog, or I'll
I get why the purists didn't care for him because he does stray from. Like you said, Warlock's a serious character, but this is the MCU. Nobody's like they are.
Yeah. Well, even that, this is Guardians.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say I hated it. I just didn't.
No, and I'm not saying you can hate it, even if you did. I don't think you do, though.
Great point, Izzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that the Sovereign was created by the High Evolutionary as well. I like the fact that they mentioned that a lot of the stuff out in the galaxy is created by the High Evolutionary.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that he was taken out of the chamber too early, the egg.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of explained for his I know some people are calling it dumb. I would just say new. He was very new to everything.
His naivete.
Green.
So I completely agree with them. Like this, Adam Warlock is a completely wasted character if they don't evolve him from what we've seen in this movie. But his state of being in this movie, I think, made sense if they progress it. But now that Gunn's gone, I seriously doubt they will.
Yeah, I like to address this right here. I think the High Evolutionary had like a secret love for planet Earth, as you can tell by that civilization that he created. It was Earth too, so that's probably why he liked his Glock, his shining Glock,
and the music and the animals.
Like was to Raimi.
And I feel like
Izzy's mad.
Even he had growth throughout this movie. Like I don't think he was the exact same. Like by like even parts and pieces you see him when that little whatever dog was with him, you've seen that he was actually getting feelings. He's like, oh, this makes me feel happy inside. And so like you do see humanity in him and that, but he's just not able to express it. It's like he's growing throughout this movie, and he'll definitely be growing towards the second movie. But somebody else mentioned in the chat that he's like a replacement for Groot. I kind of do see that for future movies, or not Groot, Drax.
Drax, yeah.
I don't think it doesn't matter anymore. I don't think it doesn't matter anymore by any stretch of the imagination. For God's sakes, Loki made Infinity Stones not matter. That doesn't mean the Infinity War didn't matter. So
there's literally a drawer full of them.
Yeah, they're just paperweights. I mean,
multiple
countless characters weren't in Infinity War. You know, the X-Men aren't there. They're not going to matter when they show up. So that's kind of you can still do good storytelling. Infinity War isn't the only story that Adam Warlock was ever in.
Also, 10 points to Chris for mentioning the High Evolutionary War, the most significant piece of Marvel history. First appearance of Speedball in the High Evolutionary War.
This is actually a pretty solid comment right here. I'm just sad at how Mantis flailed around floating in space. Did y'all catch on to clearly what was like a joke on set for James Gunn? Whenever those characters dropped into anywhere, Mantis landed on her head like straight Scorpion.
Oh, yes.
It happened numerous times in the movie. By the second time I caught it, and the third time, like, oh, yo, this is an inside joke for them on the set to drop her on her head.
Yeah, that was funny. Though, like, damn, she broke her neck.
Exactly, and then she just gets up. Oh,
that may have had the biggest sound effect too, with when they fell down in that dark room.
God,
yeah, you're right.
It was hilarious. But to the story of the movie, I do want to start touching on that and getting there. So the story on Faces, it starts off with them right where we left them at the end of the Christmas special at their HQ on Nowhere at the giant Celestial's head. And Adam Warlock just comes in out of nowhere, guns blazing, hunting for Rocket Raccoon. He ends up having to leave, licking his wounds. Rocket gets fatally injured, and they find out that they're not able to give him any medical assistance because of a failsafe that his creator put in him, where if you try to tamper with what the High Evolutionary looked at as his intellectual property, it self-destructs. So then we instantly get introduced to this new dynamic of Peter Quill, this broken Peter Quill who just don't give any Fs. Like, he's running and gunning. Like, he has a new lease on this unit that he has, this family that he has with the Guardians, and he's severely offended immediately at the thought of like his friend dying. So they immediately go out trying to get to the information to get the kill switch so that they can actually give him medical attention. And that's what the movie's pretty much about, is them gunning for the High Evolutionary to save Rocket's life and the antics along the way. It was a solid direction to take for this, because it really plays into all the characters' strengths, and it shows you like a lot of the dynamic with them and where they are now. And they interwove Rocket's backstory that's been intentionally avoided all the way till now. And they even say, where'd Rocket come from? I don't know. He doesn't like to talk about it. He never talks about it. They, throughout the whole movie, we're getting the flashbacks, giving us his entire backstory that just rips your heart out. And long story short, High Evolutionary is trying to create what he calls Counter Earth. And he uses animals as experiments, like constant trial and error, trying to find a perfect species that he can, like a formula to just rapidly evolve animals to the point of being like humanoid in nature, but just to a high enough evolutionary point that they can create a society, live in a society, and function in a utopia. He's trying to create a perfect society.
So really quick, I just want to say something about the first movie. So after seeing this one, watching the scene where they're on nowhere and Rocket and Drax are drunk, and he's like, "You called me rodent. She called me vermin." That shit is gonna hit different now, dude. Because now you know his backstory. Whew. Just
Yo,
thinking about that, like, holy
when
shit.
when he looked at the end when he saw all the lower life forms in the cage, and he looks at the tag and he just focuses and he sees raccoon and just
North
accepts
America.
it.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, it got me. Like I got goosebumps right now when he looked at the High Evolutionary and says, "My name is Rocket Raccoon," and he just goes ham. Like, oh my god,
that was one of my best favorite scenes because like then you got all the Guardians coming in after that, kicking the shit out of him. I was just like, this is perfect. This is
a
perfect.
buffet of badassery. They just dismantled that dude. It was insane. But yeah, to the plot, like y'all think it was a solid story to tell. It was.
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was awesome. You had the motivation and then find out what happens along the way. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I love the storytelling in it. James Gunn, this is what he does. It made sense, it was fun, and I didn't feel made anybody too clownish.
I thought it was a real good story to play with. Every avenue that, whether it was a singular character or a small group of characters, went down, in the back of my mind was, is this where they're going to meet their end? Are these the ones that they're going to kill off, kind of thing? And yeah, there's no loose points for the story.
No, especially and to have him die would have been a missed opportunity too. Because like now you have his growth in this. You don't have him dying after finding out he's Rocket Raccoon. He's a raccoon, bitches. And he goes on to being like the leader of the Guardians now. So I absolutely love the story of this and how he got together with. Did anybody else feel like whenever we were meeting all of these characters, all these like characters inside the cage, did you guys like? I don't know if you guys ever read We 3. Did you guys like think of that when you saw that scene?
Yeah. I didn't think of that, but that now that you mention it, that seems like very obvious too.
Apparently, James Gunn, there was a scene, again, I haven't seen it, but there's a scene, I guess, in one of the cages or something, there's like a bald eagle, and he says that was eagle-y.
Oh, nice. At the end of the movie, when they're freeing all the higher life forms, Rocket finds his old cages where he finds the lower life forms that they were going to leave behind, and he sees like a batch of baby raccoons, and right there, dead shit in the center was the bald eagle.
Mm-hmm. So it's the first MCU DCU crossover.
Nice.
That's what he says.
Good on James Gunn. So there was something that I think probably for me, like that stood out, like when I just finally, and I talked to Becker about this, when I was like, this isn't just an average story being told right here. This is a master class of storytelling that's taking place, and it was done through Gamora, and seeing how Gamora was handled in this, because this is the Gamora that was brought back or put forward in time from Endgame. This Gamora does not have any history of the Guardians. She runs with the Ravengers. She ends up just being a point man from the Ravengers, put on their team just to go pull a job, to try to get this information to save Rocket. They paid her to do it, like tens of thousands of credits for her to be there. There's already been, shows you that there's a dynamic with her and Peter, that he's heartbroken that she's not his Gamora. It's hard for him to be around her. She telling him, I'm not your Gamora constantly, and it's tough to see. But what we see in this is that old Gamora, that just blank slate Gamora. She doesn't care about anyone. She doesn't care about anything. She's just a savage fighter. She's just hollow on the inside, emotionless. And she gets stuck with the Guardians because of time crunch. They didn't have time to take her back. And along the way, we get to see the importance of friendship, family, and what it means to be a hero told to Gamora. They rebuilt Gamora in this movie to be the proper Gamora that fans would be more interested in since we lost her.
Using good storytelling. They don't hit you over the head with you.
No, she just witnesses certain things that are happening. Like, she's there to see that they will not stop. They're going to save Rocket because that's how important family is and stuff like that. She's there at the point when Rocket has a gun to the High Evolutionary's head, And she says, kill him. He's like, no, I won't. Why not? Because I'm a guardian of the galaxy, and shows what it means to be a hero.
Mhm.
Like all of these things were not told to us as the viewer. They were told to a character via the story, and we just got to witness what those mean.
And we get to see her with like giving love and receiving love from her new crew, which are all the names of old Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
And it's great because that little wry smile she gives as she kind of turns from Stallone, like that's a great moment. And they don't do that thing that so many superhero movies do, where they just hit you over the head with a hammer. They actually use sly looks and unspoken words.
Mm-hmm.
I loved this movie.
I'm also glad that her and Star-Lord didn't get back together.
Yeah.
And that he was able to go on to his
That'd have been
separate
lazy.
journey.
Yeah, that would have been too convenient.
Yeah, that was his whole story arc in this. Like, we have a broken Peter Quill. We saw that in the Christmas special, he was very little in it, and we see why in this movie, because we're introduced to him and he's just drinking his pain away. He's doing that.
Mhm.
Not this. And he's broken from losing Gamora, and there was you have Mantis and Drax, God help him, trying to get Peter to kind of turn a new leaf, he's treated women like lily pads in the pond, and it's time for him to get off the pad and go and start swimming on his own kind of thing.
Good.
And that's what by the end of the movie he realizes, like, he's lost. He acknowledges it. I'm lost. I have to go find myself. I have to get away. I need to go home. And he's like, it kind of got pointed out to him that you left home the day your mother died. Your grandfather doesn't even know if you're still alive. So he decides to go home to his grandfather, properly named, by the way, kind of, that was an Easter egg in itself, that his grandfather's name was Jason, because in the comics he's not Ego's kid, he's Jason's kid, but his grandfather's name was Jason. That's where we leave Peter. It was pretty cool.
One of the better comical moments that I didn't take as silly is when Mantis touched the security guard detail that was guarding the area that Drax and Mantis needed to get into, and she touched him and said, "You're in love with him." And like, I thought that was just exceptional comedy, just from Drax's reaction, just like, not again. And the guy is the security details playing out to him like, "What's your name?" "Oh, that's a beautiful name." I thought that was really well done. I thought that was well done, and the timing from Drax was excellent. Like, it could have been way more silly or whatever. It was just that perfect amount of, this is pretty good. And then as they're walking away, Drax says to her, like, stop doing that to me. It was good. It was good. They played upon a joke that they touched on earlier.
Yeah, and it seems like that was a thing that Mantis often did. Yeah, to Drax. Again.
They also brought up the whole point where Drax offers Quill a Zargnut, and then later on, Mantis is like, "You could offer me a Zargnut." "Oh, sorry, I'm all out." Then he eats another one. That plays back to the Christmas special.
That was hilarious.
There was a lot of yelling, though. It's funny, now that we were talking about Mantis. Mantis yelled an awful lot in this.
Yeah,
Mantis is lit. Like, she solidified her place of awesomeness in the Christmas.
And she's grown.
Yes.
From where she started to where she is. This is how you progress characters through stories, through experiences, and they become different. He's so damn good.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome, because when Nebula was playing it straight, like getting pissed because it was Nebula, Drax, and Mantis that were stuck on the ship together, and Drax just pulling Drax stuff, and Nebula pops on him. Like, why do we even keep you around? You're a liability. And Mantis goes off on Nebula. We keep him around because he makes us laugh and he loves us, and that means something. Like, it's like, damn. Drax is like, I don't know if I appreciate this defense.
Forget.
Yeah, that was funny.
I see people comparing Warlock to like Thor 4, and to me, it's not. Again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but for me, this has been a concrete story. This was James Gunn gave us 3 movies that was a beginning, a middle, and an end, but not like a lazy crap ending where people die and you know, a story like ends. He leaves it open.
What's going on, Jeff?
You could have more Guardians movies, or you could stop here.
Right. Yeah, let's be honest. The Guardians of the Galaxy, the MCU team that we've seen, is not the one that's played out over the last 30, 35 years in the comics. But the one thing that I found very satisfying thinking about the movie afterwards is that after the Infinity movies, the 2 Infinity movies that we had, there was a lot of hate for Star-Lord because he messed it up. He punched Thanos when he found out that Gamora died.
And he owns it.
Spider-Man almost had that glove off. Mantis had Thanos kind of under control. That whole scene right there, Star-Lord messed it up. And then the fact that he talks about that, like, I really messed up. I ruined. It's like I could have saved all that. That was great. I'm glad that James Gunn went back and addressed that for all the Star-Lord haters that were out there, because Chris Pratt, aside from these films, does wonderful stuff for charity. He goes to children's hospitals in character, in costume, spending time with kids in children's hospitals.
Does he go there and punch them in the face too?
Yeah, that kind of stuff I enjoy.
He just
does.
Him punching kids?
No, him going to children's hospitals.
Oh, okay.
No. Kicking puppies when no one's looking.
Yeah, exactly.
That dang high evolutionary, man.
So Nebula was cool. She's Nebula. Nebula is going to be Nebula, but she had, by the end of it, because of Mantis yelling at her, pointing out what's right in front of her, and her having to deal with her sister as well. I think it gives her a little more reason to step out of her norm, you know what I mean, and have to take the role of a more reasonable person than she would be otherwise. By the end of it, she had a good little growth there at the end when the team's disbanding. I like that she said, I'm just going to stay here and help build this up, because, you know, like, build up their HQ, their home, and stuff like that.
The mayor.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel Nebula became the new Gamora in a way.
And perhaps a better Gamora, honestly. And isn't that what the competition was always about? In the end, Nebula kind of wins, and Gamora becomes kind of Nebula.
Mm-hmm.
They basically switched. You're just witnessing good storytelling. The way all of these things weave together.
I don't think he was falling for Nebula. I think you have a broken Peter Quill just not knowing how to act.
Trying to latch on to anything at this point.
Just a desperate alcoholic.
His default setting is he's a hound.
Yeah. A lily pad, jumping from lily pad.
Yeah, he's got to get it wet, Becker.
Oh, shit.
Wow. Splish splash.
How about the bottle?
Drac, where's the WD-40?
The Drax using sarcasm. Why didn't you tell us you spoke their language? Well, why didn't you ask? Yeah, that was hilarious.
Or more so, why did you assume I didn't know?
Yeah. All right, so Drax, man, like full circle. DJ, you want to talk about this full circle with this character?
Yeah, when we were introduced to Drax in Guardians 1, he was all about Ronan killed his wife and his daughter. And we all expected him to get some kind of retribution, and he didn't. And the retribution was, in this movie, that his perfect place in the universe is just being a dad and being a mentor to all these kids. And it was heartbreaking, man. It was awesome.
So High Evolutionary had an entire cage system of children that he had genetically engineered for his next counter Earth. And Drax, Nebula, and Mantis find them. And these kids speak a language that's not in any of their records. Mantis doesn't know it. And they're trying to communicate with him. And eventually Drax just starts talking to him in their language. And they get mad at Drax. Go ahead.
And the thing is, like, prior to that, like, they were just like, Nebula and Mantis freaked them out a little bit out, and Drax was the one who calmed them down before even speaking their language.
Yeah, you just see him sitting there playing high five with him when they first find him.
Yeah, he's just like, oh.
Yeah. The monkey noises. It is like, what the fuck kind of monkeys do you have on your planet?
Yeah, so he just latched on these kids, and they just naturally latched onto him. Like, they just felt safe with him. He just felt in place with him. And by the end of this movie, when they're all talking and Drax volunteers to go with Mantis off to the universe because she wants to find her place and see what she wants for her life, because she's only been under Ego or under the Guardians' direction. She needs some room for herself. She tells Drax no, and he's like, what am I supposed to do? And they've addressed his name, Drax the Destroyer, already in the movie. They made sure they said it. And Nebula looks at him and says, Drax, you were never meant to be a destroyer. You were meant to be a father, and you're needed here with these kids. And you're just like, Jesus Christ. Like DJ said, we never had that play out. He didn't take out Ronan. He helped take out Ronan, but he made the comment, it was never really Ronan. Thanos is the guy. And he never had a one-up with Thanos ever. They didn't even put him in front of Thanos.
Nope.
Just kind of stopped.
Yeah, and well, it doesn't now that we see like this character doesn't need vengeance. He doesn't need to look at himself as a destroyer. He's better than that.
There's a couple things that they touched on from prior movies, like Drax said earlier, like in an earlier film about the galaxy. There are people who dance, and there are people who don't dance. That's what all it is. And then throughout this movie, I don't dance. And then in the end with the kids, when was it Florence and the Machine was playing?
Perfect.
Then you get to see Drax just finally let loose and be that dad.
Yeah.
Let go of the whole idea of his old handle and embracing the new one.
Good point, TJ. Like, we didn't think about not just cruel to animals, he's a child trafficker too. Like, he's literally the worst villain that's ever been created. This guy was irredeemable.
And he
bad
has an
guy.
island.
Finally, a bad guy that we don't need to feel sorry for.
He killed his own team.
Yeah, this movie was the try not to cry challenge, and I failed.
I mean, they even made Thanos understandable at points.
Talk about
Thanos wasn't wrong.
Chris's part about how Drax danced at the end and stuff. You could hear people in the theater just whispering, "Do it, Drax! You can do it."
Yeah. Yo, there was we had a fantastic theater room when they called the High Evolutionary RoboCop looking. They went down the slur. Some lady just yells. She just blurted out laughing above like anyone else making a noise. She just blurted, RoboCop looking motherfucker. And then the whole theater started rolling. The RoboCop joke, Kyle.
Yeah.
With that lady.
She was like, he called him RoboCop.
I saw it with a lame audience, and I saw it on Thursday at 7 p.m. And usually opening day, that's when you get a Rush's audience. And my audience was lame.
That sucks. I'm one of those people like when these there's 4 seats down the road, down the side next to me and Kyle. No one ended up sitting next to Kyle, but 2 younger guys and girls came and sat down. And as soon as a kid sat down next to me, I go, "What's up? I'm Mark." Because I just like to make people feel. His name was Nathan. He was actually Nathan. Shout out to Nathan. He's probably, I'd say, between 18 and 21. And he likes movies and stuff. And we were talking about all the trailers going into it. It was a good guy. It's fun.
Did you get him to subscribe to the channel?
No, I'm not that petty, man.
I'm such an introvert. I would be like, "Can I switch seats with you?" Like,
Yo, I did it.
Dude, I would start looking for the exits.
Me and Kyle did it with the ladies at the concert who sat down next to us. A couple silver foxes sat down, and we're like, I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And Kyle I just make Kyle cringe. I just try to make her. It's a game like where can she not laugh? Because Kyle just sits there and tries not to laugh. Because the ladies were just 2 friends. They clearly were friends. Like, and it turns out they were friends from high school that hadn't seen each other in like 37 years, kind of thing, right?
Oh, wow.
And they got together to come see
and
this concert.
Michelle.
And but they sat down. I'm like, I started talking to them because I just do. And I'm like, "Oh, are y'all here for date night?" And she goes, "No," and just thought that was the funniest thing. So this is my friend from high school. I'm like, "Oh, y'all aren't sisters?" She goes, "No." I said, they go, "We do kind of look alike, right?" I'm like, "Well, you have the same bangs."
Speaking of bangs, what are you doing later?
Yeah, Kyle's just sitting next to me, rolling, like elbowing me and stuff. It's just fun, man. It's fun to talk to people.
No, so Mark, essentially, when you retire, you're going to be one of those guys that hangs out in bank lobbies with other old dudes and like small town banks or gas stations with the other old guys. Like they didn't get up to go to work, so they just go hang out and drink coffee.
Bangs.
Just wander the Home Depot aisles asking if you need help, and they don't even work there.
Right.
Exactly. Hey, I'll get an orange Pinocchio vest and hit up Home Depot. Let's go.
You can be
the inevitable part of the movie, kind of saved it for last year. The character focus of the film was definitely Rocket. And Jeff's already asking, how about the voice of Lila? I don't know who did her voice.
Hawkeye's wife.
That was Linda Cardellini. Is that what her name is?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Man,
she has.
now I'm just obsessed with Mark as an old man in a Walmart greeter. It'd be like if Wooderson from God, what was that movie? What's all right? It's like if he was an old man in a freaking and then a Walmart greeter. Anyway, I'm on a tangent.
Yeah. You Puerto Rican whore, Beckerman.
They stay the same. I keep getting older, but they stay the same.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. Because Daisy continues. But yeah, so Rocket was the central focus of this film. He was down and out for most of the film, but we get to experience his story through the flashbacks of seeing how actual terrible it was, what he went through, and getting to see all kinds of little glimpse of hope that this little raccoon had, getting to experience the world with the High Evolutionary.
And we broke Beckerman.
Okay?
Mike's gone. He's choking. He's laughing so hard. He's got the shoulders going up to his ears. He can't breathe right now.
Voiceover for him.
I'm all right.
But yeah, the experience of seeing Rocket's story was a roller coaster in itself, because we kind of straight off the bat, it shows you like them like doing the upgrade to him and putting him back in his cage. And DJ touched on it. He's in a cage with a rabbit that had been experimented on right next to an otter and a walrus. And the first thing he says, because they start talking to him, asking if he's okay. He's still little. He's trying to get up. And the first thing he says is, hurts. So yes, in that exact voice. And it just breaks you. But getting to see that, I think what got me worse than anything was watching him sit there with the High Evolutionary looking out the window at the sky. Yeah. And they're getting along, and all I could think about really was Edward Scissorhand when the doctor's sitting there with Edward, his creation, before the doctor died. I'm like, yeah, this doesn't bode well at all. Like, ultimately this guy's not going to keep him around. But getting to see that little glimmer of hope in Rocket's eyes, and then getting to see him, the switch flip, like when he assesses a problem the High Evolutionary is having with his experiments and just sees the solution, doesn't know why, doesn't know how, cannot explain it. He just knows how things should be. He's the anomaly that the High Evolutionary has been trying to create, and he accidentally did it with Rocket, which I thought was cool, that it's not something that the High Evolutionary did. It's something innate about this raccoon.
Yeah, I thought like that part was amazing when he figured it out, and it was like, oh. And then when the High Evolutionary went and got him from his cage, and was just like Izzy just said, like a dad, but like a fucking like mean old dad that you see in these movies. He's like, how did you do this? How did you know? Like, tell me. And it was crazy to me, man. Like, he did such a fantastic job, and just the way they told Rocket's story in those moments was fantastic. And then the other thing about that with the with Teef's, what it was, Teef's, Floor, Lila, and Rocket in the cage, it reminded me of like when we see the whatever movies about people in cages and things like that, like Holocaust movies, where they try to make the best out of the situation, and you try to, even in the most dire shitty situation, you try to find some common ground and playfulness, and they were able to do that and play back and forth through the cage and through the stuff, man. It was just heartbreaking all the way around.
They bought the lie.
That killed me when they were sitting there, because Rocket had seen the sky, so he had told them about what the sky looks like, and they're sitting in this cage. All they could see is the dark ceiling above them, and they're dreaming of the sky. And when they were naming themselves, Rocket chose Rocket because he's going to take his friends, and we're going to fly away together one last time. And I'm like, oh my god,
yeah, dude.
And then he goes to break him out. Like he realizes he's told by the High Evolutionary that he's not going to counter Earth, that you're just an abomination. You're just a mistake along the way that I can learn from. And I'm going to take your brain out and figure out what I can learn from it in the morning. Incinerate the rest of batch 89, all of his friends. So Rocket, he turns on for the first time. He gets in that cage and he just starts grabbing scraps and just puts together that key card. that he still had with him in the beginning of the movie. That's what he was holding, just looking at. He's always kept it.
There was the one moment before the betrayal announcement where Rocket's, I'm presuming those raccoons were taken from New York City because Rocket has, that New York City accent, that rough and tumble, that accent where as a young child, you hear him, that natural accent start to come out, and then the High Evolutionary looks at him and says, "Can't." And I kind of like, what did you just call him, man? But no, like he's trying to correct him and have him speak proper English,
I've never seen a raccoon in New York City.
Okay. And so,
I was going to say he's a raccoon, not a rat dragging pizza.
We got him here.
Yeah. Canadian raccoons are, anyways. But yeah, just, where that it was that right there to me, that moment where the High Evolutionary looked at him and everything that was there before was wiped away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, now you're not here. You're still just a low-level, entry-level toy that's on my way to perfection. And yeah, I just need now to find out how you knew to, release the yellow goo or whatever it was so that we could have a proper Ninja Turtle. But anyway.
I kept thinking about Tron Legacy with Flynn and Clue. He's like, that was my mistake because I created you to search for perfection, but it's unobtainable.
Yeah,
that's a severely underrated movie. Tron Legacy is fire. But Rocket breaking out, the whole breakout scene was probably one of the toughest moments in the entire movie because he breaks out and his friends are scared to come out. They don't know anything beyond that cage, and he's trying to explain to them like this is our only option. And he looks at him, he's like, "We'll get out of here." And he uses the line again. He's like, "We'll fly away together one last time." And that's the line that they trusted him on. And as soon as Lila steps out the cage and they actually are able to be together for the first time and not just in neighboring cages, she takes a bullet to the chest and dies right in front of him.
Yeah.
I think that's when a piece of me died at that moment. I'm like, ooh.
I like that they did all these as flashbacks too.
Mm-hmm.
As part of the story. Every time, he has another thing go wrong as he's actively dying from his warlock wounds, he flashes back a little bit more story.
Mm-hmm.
His life was flashing before his eyes. It was well told.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Norrin Rad just said it. Holy
we're about to get to that. So when that happens, the High Evolutionary comes up just talking down to him, calling for his guards to come put the animals back in the cages, and Rocket snaps, takes down the High Evolutionary, ravages him until backup gets there and just starts firing on Rocket, missing him, going right past him and killing his entire group of friends.
But that was the thing. They weren't shooting at Rocket. They were wiping out everything else because they were told not to hurt him.
Because they got to get his brain.
Yeah, they wanted him. They wanted to capture him alive. They were smoking everyone else on purpose.
I don't know if I took it that way.
No,
I thought they were
shoot off. Yeah, that was a shoot off. They were in their cages. They didn't even leave their cages. They died in their cages. And Rocket was on top of High Evolutionary, killing him when they turned the corner. And they tried to save their bosses the way I saw it.
Do you know what is telling to me? We've talked about this movie for just about an hour at this point, and we've really not addressed a whole lot of that weird organic business park / headquarters or whatever for that corporation.
I love that part, especially the part where they were like, "Oh, sorry, he's one of our manager's cousins." Yeah, his boss's nephew, and that Nathan Fillion's yeah. We have one of those. He just looks back and looks at him. It's like, guy's dying. I couldn't help it.
Nathan Fillion was an awesome addition, which was an Easter egg in itself because he's Bill Party in James Gunn's first outing, Slither.
And he was in the first Guardians movie, and he's in the second one too, right? As an Easter egg.
I don't know, but we also had James Gunn's wife in that. She was the little operator. But that whole time on that planet was.
And Ratcatcher was in it too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, she was the orange lady, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
It went on too long for my taste, that whole scene.
It's not the best scene of the movie.
No,
But-
but it
Once again, we get reminded that it pays to be friends with James Gunn because you will get work in his movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, Philion is in the first Guardians, right? He plays that alien, the voice of that alien that I'm gonna slather you up like Neruvian jelly.
What's funny is just thinking about how many times you've probably said that out loud to remember that line since that first movie came out.
No,
Hey, Jill, come here.
I'm gonna slather. Damn it!
well done,
Y'all want to
Mark.
hit
Well
on
done.
probably the most difficult moment of the movie. Rocket, they go through that little weird planet. They go to Counter Earth. That's like the big thing that happened next. They go to Counter Earth because they're tracking down. They go get the information from this little. It's a medical corporation, more or less.
Mhm.
That is like the money laundering scheme and holds all the patents for high evolutionary stuff. They need to get the information on Rocket. High Evolutionary knew they was going there, sent a guy to go get it ahead of them, and he got it. And they knew they recognized that he's got it. Now we got to go to him next. So they go to Counter Earth, and they go head up with the High Evolutionary, and everyone keeps telling Peter this is definitely a trap. And he keeps reminding those, well, we know it's a trap, so it means it's a face-off, and he's willing. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning. This is not the Peter Quill from before. He's like just hell-bent on just moving forward. Like that's the direction that our problem's in. Let's go through it. And I thought that was a great little development for that character. But Counter Earth was super, super funny. I thought that was pretty dope.
Stuck in the 70s and early 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no matter how perfect a society is, they will always have meth dealers.
Yeah, that was a big shock. That like
They live
I was like,
to-
whoa, they went there.
It was funny watching Nebula try to get in the car because they land on Counter Earth, they get accepted there, and me and Kyle rolled. Like I'd heard that this movie was going to have the first F-bomb. I'm like, dude, that is so not needed or appropriate or necessary, and I was so wrong on all three of them because Peter's sitting in a car and Nebula's trying to get in, and it's a 1970s car, handle button. She's trying to get in. He's like looking for things, like push the button. She's pushing the keyhole, and even says, I feel like you're pushing the keyhole. She goes, what do I do? Push the button next to it. Okay, now what? Open the fucking door.
It was perfectly said. Like
Yeah,
just,
that was
like
perfect.
there and gone. Like it was like yes, that was like the perfect placement. If you want to put an F word in a
That
movie,
was the worst door ever designed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yo, the
you're
entire
like, you're gonna make a
planet was
door, but make it
dying
really
laughing.
hard to.
Like everyone was in disbelief, not just that he said the F word, but how accepting we all were of it happening in an MCU movie and how hilarious it was in that moment.
Yeah, that was the perfect use for it. I thought when I heard they were putting in the F word or whatever, I thought it was going to be in like, because we're the effing Guardians of the Galaxy or something stupid like that. I love that it was just like, yo, open the fucking door, like how we would do it. Exactly.
Yeah.
We've all been there with people cranking on the door, like I haven't
Or
unlocked it
him
yet.
trying to get away, and he's like, "I was 8 when I was last on Earth. Why would I know how to drive a car?"
She offered to drive.
she couldn't even open the door. And then you have just Gamora watching these two idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super dope. That is a pretty cool crash table. But then they get in the car, they go over to the High Evolutionary's base. It's just sitting out on Counter Earth like a giant splinter in the sky. They're expected. It's just Peter and Groot. You see Peter hand Groot his guns and say, you know what to do. And when they pull up, they both get patted down. They both are clear. They go in. Nebula's not allowed to go in because her arm itself is a weapon. And they go walking in there knowing it's a trap, or as Peter calls it, a face-off. And they don't have time to BS. The High Evolutionary kind of talks down to them for thinking that they can even step on this ship. And since his occurrence with Rocket all those years ago, when Rocket beat the hell out of him, he's upgraded himself. He looks like he's using gravity powers. He even says that he has gravity working for him. And so he's able to move people around very easily. You know, he lights up purple and has gravity abilities. But he hits them with it, and he goes walking out on his high horse. And as soon as he's out of the room, Peter recognizes that the guy who has the data is standing in the room, and he just looks at Groot. He's like, all right, let's go. And they've pretty much just been waiting for this moment. And Groot stands up, opens up with numerous arms, numerous guns, and then his back comes out like a rack with Peter's guns on it, and he grabs it, and They know what time it is. And it's that moment from the trailer where they're just spinning, him screaming, I am Groot, and they're taking out the entire room. No problem.
Fire.
Yep.
So yeah, it was good.
How did they know that when they censored it, that it wouldn't set off the
Oh, they've
sensors?
clearly done that before. That's why when he
You've never
handed
seen
it, well, he'd never seen it, but when he handed him the gun and he said, you know what to do with these, that implies they've done this before.
They've done it before.
Yeah. But it was cool. I like how they had an escape plan and everything. They grab the dude, High Evolutionary runs back in, and they just run and dive out the building. Just take the guy and jump, and Groot jumps down, grabs him, grows wings, and glides down. And Peter shows the side of Peter that's unique to this film is when they get to the ground, he takes the guy and slams him in the ground. Then he picks him back up and slams him in the ground again and kills him. Like he has no plan on this guy being alive when we get to the ground. He was on the way
Killed
to
Mateo from Superstore.
Yeah, he absolutely ravaged that dude.
Yeah.
That is Mateo. That's what I was kind of wondering throughout the movie. I was like, is that Mateo?
Yeah, Mateo's put on weight.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, that Mateo.
I mean, I'm not one to call anybody out because of this, but he got fat.
Either that or he lost the hair.
Oh!
Yeah, Kyle just pointed out what Mantis's reaction to talking to him. How'd y'all get out, Peter? We had a plan. I am Groot. You jumped?
It doesn't seem like a plan.
Yeah, it doesn't. seem like
I think they're making this shit up.
Yeah, Gamora. Every time Groot would talk to him, she'd be like, "Are y'all just pretending you know what he says?"
Yeah. And that was cool at the end when he says, I love you guys. We finally get to understand what Groot is saying.
Yo, when he said, I love you guys, the entire theater just started clapping, and one lady screams, about fucking time.
Wow.
Damn, your theater was lit, man.
Was it the same lady?
I'm telling you, we had a good crowd in there.
And we go back to every character grew, but we grew with Groot. In this
what
movie,
it was.
so
That wasn't
Maybe
Groot.
I'll introduce myself to the theater next time. We'll have a more lit experience. Hey, I'm Mike Beck. Mike. Hey, Mike. Name's Mike.
maybe they'll move. Maybe they'll get a sequel of it. So like,
Yep.
they don't have to sit beside people.
Yeah, Mike. Sure.
I didn't even.
I'll do that. I'll be like, hi, I'm Lynx. They'll be like, shut the fuck up.
But all in all, let's touch on Rocket. Go around the horn, like with Rocket's whole arc toward the end. There, they get back to him. They wake him up. They get him back to full health, and I'm tired of running.
Yeah.
I think we kind of touched on it earlier.
We touched on the shitty bit.
We've jumped around a bit. But yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, he wrecks house with High Evolutionary, and the team backs him up, and they break the kids out, and then they're like, "No, we're saving everybody," and they go back for. We get the Warlock face turn.
Mm-hmm.
With that little picturesque, he's Adam from the Bible type of little scene.
From the Sistine Chapel.
The hand of God. Yeah.
That fight in the corridor.
Yeah. It was awesome when they were looking for a soundtrack. The final song before the ending song, they said they were looking for a song that goes, this is the one. Don't.
Yeah.
That's how we started the first movie. I'm like, yes! Again, full circle. But the whole Rocket.
I just saw Headquakes.
What did y'all think of the Rocket when he died, when he's actually in heaven talking to Lila?
Dude, I legit, well, not that I thought that he was going to die, obviously, because it's his story, but the way it went down, I was just like, holy shit. And then, like, he went to walk with her, like, okay, fine, I'm going to give up on this. I'm going to go with you. I always wanted to go with you. We're going to go into the great beyond. And then she just stops him as he's walking by her. She was like, no, it's not your time or whatever. And then he was sucked back into his body. Oh, man, right in the feels.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Yeah, we had this gag on In the Mix like months ago. You're muted, Mark.
Yeah, I got it. That line that she gave him though was insane when he's asking her why he can't go now. Like I don't have a purpose for existing. I was just created. And she tells him, "This has been your story the entire time. You just didn't know it yet." And I'm just like, oh my god, that got me because it made my brain flash back through the MCU of Rocket. I'm like, oh,
Never Ending Story
So
vibes
good.
too. When Sebastian was talking to.
So go shit. What was that?
You heard that?
was
Yeah.
that thunder?
You under attack there, man?
I don't know.
I don't know. When I saw that walrus waving in that, I was like, that guy's up to something. Don't go with him. It's a trap.
Shady, man.
Oh my god, he still needs the Winter Soldier arm. Then you can come. Yeah, Rocket was going to meet Dumbledore. And it was rough, but it was cool when they all band together in High Evolutionary Ship, and they're like pretty much everyone's looking like they're about to get out and run and get out of there, and they kind of just look into the ship, and Rocket says, "I'm done running," and nobody hesitates. As soon as Rocket takes one step, Groot's already stepping, and everyone else is walking. And Gamora, who they just got done telling about, like the Ravengers aren't your family unless they mean this. These people mean this to me. This is why they're our family, why we don't give up on them, why we're going to save Rocket. And then you have this moment where Rocket says something and he means it and takes a single step, and they're all walking with him. No questions, no wondering, no clarity. Let's go. We don't need to ask. He's moving. We're moving with him. And Gamora's standing there just watching him walk. And that's when she knew the Ravengers are my family. And we get to see that at the end when she comes back to him, like what it means to be a part of something bigger than yourself. You had numerous moments like that for Gamora. I'm like, dude, this is flawless execution right now.
And now we know why all of these actors are headed to DC.
Yeah. Now you know why when Disney canceled and fired James Gunn, the entire cast and crew said, we all quit then.
Yeah.
Yeah, just another great proof of how Disney is a hollow, morally bankrupt company. They try to fire James Gunn on a morality move, and everyone else says, "No, we're going to quit too." Like, okay, never mind then. Come on, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to touch on the High Evolutionary. His whole team turned on him too when they realized this guy is a mega dick.
So Pops talked about that too. He said that y'all probably, Chris, you probably know more about this. The wolf, the half wolf character who led the uprising against High Evolutionary. Pops asked me if he was in there. I said he could have easily made a cameo because all the different creatures you see, but I don't know. And it reminded me of what DJ's talking about, where his whole crew did the uprising thing. They kind of did that. I feel like that was a comic thing, right?
Yeah, it's happened twice. It's happened twice. It happened in the pages of Fantastic Four, and it happened again in the Evolutionary War. But yeah, Man Beast, right? But yeah, there was
one Gore Mountain rebelled against him too.
Yeah, but in the end, they all fall against the High Evolutionary, right? But the one thing I got to say about this versus a lot of complaints versus with other MCU projects we've had lately. The special effects were incredible in this movie. Everything was believable. Rocket looked tremendous at different points in his life, as did the other creatures that were there. The backdrops, the sets, everything was just perfect. This is something that for hardcore MCU fans or just MCU fans who have been struggling, this is that relief point. Like, this is that checkpoint. Like, okay, it's good right now. Let's stop for a second and just appreciate this offering that we have right now, because we've had She-Hulk, we've had Moon Knight, we've had all this stuff
Ant-Man.
that has so many different things Ant-Man, so many different things to complain about, and Thor, which was a disaster. But now we had this. Now, I'm not going to say this is resetting everything. This is not going to make everything right, but my God, this is the end of a trilogy, but there's so much new hope where no character fell. So, like I said, some characters have semi-retired, and we have a new Guardians team. Remember, everyone, the Guardians of the Galaxy are like the X-Men. The team is always changing its lineup through comics and everything.
She's back
so I'm
there.
glad that they've addressed this, and now that Rocket is the captain. But
hey, Mark, just to let you guys know, I'm going to take off. My back's kind of hurting me in the chair. I was going to try to stay to the comics portion, but
Yeah, well, as long as this is rolling, I don't know if we are necessarily. It's almost already 10 o'clock anyways.
All right.
But
Well,
have
thank
a
you
good
everybody
night.
for
Feel
having me
better.
on.
What's
Thanks
that?
for
What's
being
that butter 'em up line again?
Slather them up in Navruvian jelly and just go to town. It's the blue alien in prison. That Groot shoves the
Fingers.
his
in
fingers
nose.
up his nose.
And lifts them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great
I'm
scene.
gonna follow Mike out the door as well.
All right,
Oh
guys.
yeah, we rode together. So
Yeah.
Well, you want to give us your final thoughts real quick, and we'll just go around the horn with them. Y'all can dip out.
DJ,
Mike.
you first.
Okay. Overall, I love the movie. It wasn't perfect. That's why I gave it a 4 out of 5 handies. And handies are probably the most epic rating scale ever because it's hands and it's handy. I can't wait to see it again. I think I think Rocket has the perfect beginning to end story out of any MCU character in totality. He has such an emotional arc. It justifies how he and his and Yandu's relationship in part 2, how he was so hurt when they were calling him names in part 1. You get to see all that in part 3, and it does it for me, man. I absolutely loved it.
I've never realized it till this moment, but DJ is what I would look like if I was better looking and had money.
I'm frozen.
I don't even know how to follow that up.
Final thoughts, Becker.
I agree with everybody's review. Tons of handies, super green. Maple Leafs galore. Whatever TM Nerdy does, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I'll stick with my 8.4, but it's the best thing we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, agreed.
And I was going to try to compare it to Guardians 2 because as a complete movie, this was better, but you know, the Mary Poppins, the Yondu stuff will always carry the second movie, the
That's
end
one
of
thing
the
we didn't touch
Ravager
on.
funeral.
Is he cool?
Kraglin in this was awesome. Trying to
When you
capture
saw
the Yondu area.
Yeah, Yandu in the background at the
Yeah,
end.
Yondu makes an appearance in this. Kraglin's trying to get the Yaka era to work for him the whole movie, and the High Evolutionaries abominations are flooding into nowhere, and it's just Kraglin there, and he's looking around at the devastation happening and them flying everywhere. And in the distance, in the mayhem, is Yondu. He hears a voice first that says, "Use your heart, kid," and it reminds you that Star-Lord isn't the only kid with Yondu father, you know. And he had Kraglin as well. And Kraglin looks up, and Yondu's standing off in the distance, and he just puts his hand over his heart. And as mayhem is passing by, he just vanishes, and Kraglin closes his eyes and wrecks shit.
That was a big surprise to me too. That Kraglin is actually part of the new Guardians team. Like being James Gunn's brother, I didn't think that was going to happen. I knew he was a big part of like Guardians going forth, like after the second one.
But lots of things could happen, and you might not see him again.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. That's how great the end was. Is the story will never end. It lives on, and you know you can take it from here.
Yeah, that was a perfect ending. They show us the new Guardians team consisting of little Quasar version 2.0, Groot, Rocket, Kraglin, and Adam Warlock. And we never need another Guardians movie. It's how movies are supposed to end. Like, we can talk about it. We can like speculate on what could happen. And we know that the galaxy is safe because the Guardians are there. Like, I'm happy. I would go see another movie with that team in a heartbeat, but I hope they never offer me a ticket kind of thing, you know?
They didn't go the lazy route. They could have just killed a couple people off and gutted the team. And nope, you got a proper send off to this trilogy. Loved it. But I will see you later, guys.
All right, DJ, thanks for hopping in.
Good night, guys.
And that was one of the end credit scenes. The other one was just Star-Lord sitting there casually with his grandfather, and it says the legendary Star-Lord will return. We know that Chris Pratt is contractually obligated to 2 more viewings with the MCU. So I can only assume that one of those has got to be Secret Wars, right? Like
because he's on
with-
Earth now. Like
No,
he's
yeah,
probably
the
good.
thing with Secret Wars that everybody who's ever been anywhere, anytime in a Marvel property, they want to have show up in that in some way, whether it be of any substance or just a flash by cameo. So that's
Or
a
variant.
good candidate, right?
Yeah.
And
then
he's worked with
maybe
the
another-
Avengers as well, so he
Well,
could
maybe
show
another
up like
Disney special,
yeah.
one of those little hour long things like Werewolf by Night was, and the Guardians Christmas special. That'd be because how much can you really tell with him just hanging out on Earth? I mean, just a little comedic something, and James Gunn won't be attached to it in any way. So
I feel like he's gonna show up in another project because like he's on Earth now. Of course, like if anything's happening, he's definitely gonna step in because this is his home now. Grandfather lives, so if anything starts to like big events start happening, like he's gonna step in or be called in by one of the Avengers because they, at some point in time, like he's gonna end up talking to one of them.
So
Yeah.
what happened was on the newspaper article, Kevin Bacon talks about being taken off planet and being abducted by aliens, but Star-Lord was becoming that gossip neighbor who was basically saying to his grandfather, like, I'll help him cut his grass, but I don't want him talking about me behind my back. That's what that whole scene was, that he was fitting into the neighborhood and becoming a gossiper. That's what the comedic portion of that was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was overall a fantastic movie. I'll definitely be purchasing that I don't know if I'll purchase it. It'll just be on Disney Plus. I've got the first two Guardians. It'd be weird not to have it, but I probably will buy that one, round off the set. It was good. It was damn good. I still stand on my decision going into it. This is the last MCU movie I'm going to the movie theater to see until something drastically changes as a whole for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just not investing that time, effort, energy, or money in it. I'll catch it when I catch it kind of thing down the road. Keep up with TV shows. Anything that's just free and available and easy to consume, I'll check it out. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy to end on a high note. Definitely happy with calling it, drawing a line in the sand right there, and looking toward different things. There's a lot of stuff I don't keep up with. I'm going to try some other stuff out for a while.
All right. I'm going to bow out, guys. Mark, thank you for this. It was good seeing you again, guys.
Definitely good having you here. Congrats again on 100 episodes.
You too. Yeah, it is your baby as well.
I think I've only been in 99 of them.
Yes. And I'm going to go because now it's getting awkward. Thanks, everyone. Good night, everybody.
Those are cute. Well, guys, it's almost 10 o'clock on the dot. Did y'all want to stay and talk some comic books?
I am sorry to monopolize the last hour and a half. I apologize.
Yeah. It's been a while. Did you pay for their school today? Okay. Making sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did it right when I messaged you.
Monkey's getting ready to start school.
Ooh.
They're bleeding us dry.
I only read one comic this week,
What'd you read?
Peacemaker.
Paul, did you read Peacemaker?
I did.
The spirited sequel to the first season of James Gunn's television show by the same title, Peacemaker.
And it definitely does give you. I heard John Cena's voice throughout the entire issue when he was talking.
Yeah, so is it Kyle Starks that wrote it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he has that voice down pat in the dialogue. It flows just like Cena would. That was smooth.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was fun. You have God, who was the villain that's holding? It's pretty much straightforward. Like he finds a dog running a little operation for Amanda Waller. He finds a dog named Bruce Wayne.
Mhm.
He names it Bruce Wayne, and it gets kidnapped, and he's being used as a pawn to go get a blood sample from somebody, and that somebody is, unfortunately for him, Deathstroke the Terminator.
Right.
Yeah, because the brain and Monsieur is that?
Right.
I think that's how you
Yep.
say it.
You're French, not us. You're the French one.
Hey, come on.
So it's like a yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say the whole thing with, starting off right from the beginning when he's in the like the mini mart or whatever, and she's like, "You're making a muscle cake," and he's like, "I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna look it up."
Yeah.
You know, and then he's talking about how he would do anything for peace, and he's like, "Would you eat poop?" And he's like, "I guess I would. I guess I would eat poop for peace."
Yeah, that's an
Those,
incredibly weird thing to ask someone. Of course I would.
yeah, exactly.
And then he's on the phone with Amanda Waller. He's like, "What's a beefcake?" And that is this a euphemism?
Yeah, she's
muscle
like, I don't
cake.
want to answer this. Is the squad there? I was going to invite him over, and they're all like, no.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. It was,
He was talking to an officer and that. He's like, "Do you want to come to my party?" And that. It's like, I don't even know who you are, so no.
Yeah.
He's gonna show off his VHS porn.
And then when he's fighting the villains on that, he's just like, it's like, "I know you, Peacemaker. Oh man, Peacemaker sucks. He made us do a dick measuring contest." It's like, "Oh, you're the one with the smallest penis."
Yeah. It was raunchy the more you talk about it. Yeah.
It was, but it really did feel like, like James Gunn could have written this.
The only gripe I have with it is like, as much as I loved reading it and how it did really go with the Peacemaker TV show, Peacemaker has also shown up in a different series, and I thought that was the Peacemaker we're going to get, but it doesn't look like it's the same character.
This is a Black Label title. This is its own thing. And you can tell from the car, from his trailer, this is intended to be adjacent with the television show. Yeah, the one we're getting Peacemaker right now in Doom Patrol, and this is definitely not the same one. That's competent Doom Peacemaker.
We're gonna get Peacemaker and Green Arrow too. We're promised him there.
I think that's going to be the same piece. Obviously, it's the same Peacemaker from Doom Patrol.
Right.
But it's cool that they're seeding Amanda Waller through the Dawn of DC stuff, because we already know that she's in the background pulling some strings for stuff. I'm wondering where that all is going to lead to. We know we got Night Terrors as the big event. I was hoping that they would this year we would get some kind of announcement with Justice League Dark specifically, because we know that they're just laying in wait with the Merlin crisis happening that hadn't been addressed for months. We've got Amanda Waller with the War of Earth 3 stuff that's just sitting there that they keep reminding us is there. So there's a lot of big stories waiting to be told that are like event quality stories with their setup, the build, and the scope of it all. So we'll got a lot of stuff to look forward to. There's a couple that I definitely think are worth highlighting tonight, and I know TM said he loved this one, so we're definitely going to talk about it. It's Shazam #1 by Mark Waid and Dan Mora, the brand new title, bringing Captain Marvel back from the brink of relevance, because he has not been relevant for a while, and they definitely are aiming to make him relevant again, and no better writer than Mark Waid to do that, who has a long-standing history with this character. And he's one of those writers that just knows how to dive into the history of comics and really grab pieces of it and bring it into modern time and keep it fresh and tell it. And he just knows how to honor characters really well. And Captain Marvel's been such a weird character, with the legal battles with his name to being bought out and brought over to DC, and him being like a Superman analog to begin with, and really having a place of his own and an agency of his own. And that's why they did that thing where they made him like a kid, even when he's in Captain Marvel form. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't respond well enough, I think. And they're addressing that as well as his name. And they're addressing like the lack of the Wisdom of Solomon thing. And they put a cool little spin on that in this. Dan Moore's artwork was phenomenal. So they're really trying to bring this character back for those long-standing fans that have been around for a while, as well as new fans. It's a great jumping on point.
Right, and they still do. To your point, he still does act like a kid in the Shazam, but that's kind of played off against the end of the story. And there's a middle section too where we see two people kind of in shadows that kind of reference that and why they kind of assert themselves. We think at the end of the story.
I like what they touched on with the Wisdom of Solomon specifically. They make the distinction between knowledge and wisdom.
Correct. But what I'm thinking is that he's doing all this playing around when he's in his Shazam persona, and I think it's two of the gods of the six that are basically looking at him saying, you know what, they're saying I think they're saying that he's wasting his potential and that he shouldn't be necessarily, playing video games or playing with action figures or dancing in front of giant figures. He should be ruling these people because he's got 6 gods inside of him. And so that's the part that comes out at the very end of the issue.
Yeah, that's another thing happening right now, that the other siblings do not have the power. That's something that they're still looking at. They've been stripped from him. He has 100% of the power of the Shazam right now. Mary has her power source from the Greek gods right now, so she does have the ability to be Mary Marvel, who they solidified. Her name is Mary Marvel. They solidified that at the end of Revenge of the Gods instead of just Mary. They're bringing these characters back to what they were 20 years ago, where they should have never left from. They went in a weird direction, and we're going back to the proper status quo. It's just taking way too long to get there.
Yeah, we got Taki Tani again. We got
cooking for the Foster family.
Exactly.
I guess I thought they split it where each of the kids would have one of the different powers. No, it's just a fraction of his overall thing. But it's pretty funny in terms of his name. He is officially at least the captain right now. He's not Shazam. That's the wizard. He's never been Shazam. He can't even say that word without accessing or turning off his powers. It's never made sense. His name is Captain Marvel. We have Mary Marvel confirmed, solidified, and we have him being called the captain currently due to an incident out in the ocean when they were saving something that he's not prepared to talk about yet. And they show us a little scene with his siblings laughing at him and him just soaking wet over the ocean. I thought that was super smart.
Some sort of maritime accident.
Maritime accident, exactly. And it was cool because you had people he's saving, people he's interacting with. They're calling him captain. They're calling him captain. Like, yes, that is a huge step in the right direction. That is so obvious once you say it. It's right there. Be quick on this one. Batman and the Joker, Deadly Duo, issue 7 wrapped up. It was a pretty action-packed finale. It seemed like they packed a lot of exposition into this one. They took the whole the bad guy zombie girl character, and she knew his secret, and she was going to tell Joker his secret, and that's why Joker was working for her, and this and that. But Joker didn't want to know his secret. He just wanted to kill anybody who had this secret to Batman's identity because he never wants to know it. He doesn't want to. It's fun. Nutshell.
Love the art.
The art was fantastic. It wasn't bad. It really wasn't. The last 2 issues were a lot stronger than the story went. It was just a very predictable story from jump. But yeah, the art was fantastic. Flash 798. Let's go. Jeremy Adams is making this even more difficult, knowing that these are the final few issues. I wish he would have mailed them in. He's not. He's not mailing them in. He's doing legitimate, solid, unmissable issues of the Flash all the way to the very end.
Calling back to one of his previous stories too.
Dude, that ending got me. The little Ultimate Universal Wrestler chant there. Yeah, his child's born in the beginning of this one. Linda's been pregnant. Right. The baby is here. They named it Wade. It gets taken by Granny Goodness. So this is the story of Mr. Terrific. Hourman pops up, and Android Hourman, but not the one from Star Trek. Yeah, he shows up via time displacement portal thing, and they're out to go get Wade back, and they're going to have to take a space adventure to do it. And in the midst of traveling through hyper time, they run into the wrestling champion who we saw 10 issues or so ago. Man, it was good seeing him. I didn't realize I would even miss that guy. But he's like, bro, is that you? I'm like, what? And I turned the page like, oh my God. They just smack into him in the middle of space.
And fear not, in case you have not heard, Jeremy Adams will still be writing a version of The Flash. Come October, he will be writing a Jay Garrick series, which will star Jay Garrick and his daughter, and it's going to play right into his strong suit too. It's going to be about family and Jay Garrick and his daughter and everything. I meant to tell you this, Mark. I texted him, and I said, "You sly dog! You knew the whole time you were going to still be running a Flash series when you were on here, but obviously he couldn't tell us. But he just sent back an extreme laughing emoji."
Yeah, and on top of that, we had Alan Scott story confirmed and a Wesley Dodds Sandman story confirmed. Yep. Do we know who? We have the writers for those as well, right?
Tim Sheridan is doing one, and I can't
He
think
that
of
dude did Teen Titans, right? The most recent Teen Titans.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh. It was hot
And
and cold.
yeah, can't think of who the other one is, but
What's going on? Chop. This is the story of Mr. Terrific. Oh, cool. They're talking about me. Oh, the DC character. But yeah, I'm excited. All three of those will be under the new Golden Age banner that'll be tied in with what Jeff Johns started crafting and building with Stargirl and Justice Society of America. So all three of those are automatically getting added to my pool list this coming Tuesday when I go to the brand new Augusta Book Exchange. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I got about two that I'd say.
Not excited for Tim Seeley though. Or who was it? The guy that wrote the Teen Titans comic. I'm not excited for him.
No one is excited for Tim Seeley. Tim Sheridan, though.
Tim Sheridan, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what, dude. Tim Seeley, I just can't for the life of me enjoy a book he writes. Like, I'll go to read something like, what is wrong with this book? And I'll look at the cover and then I'll see who writes it. And a lot of times it's been that lady, what is it, Stephanie something, who did the Wonder Woman stuff?
yeah. Becky Cloonan and William Conrad did some of the Wonder Woman stuff, and then Marguerite Sauvage, did she do some of the stuff?
Was it Fitzmartin? Megan Fitzmartin was one of them. She did the Young Justice.
Fitzmartin did the Young Justice one, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll read a comic, and if I feel like something's incredibly good or something's wrong, I'll look at the front, like, who wrote this? And I ran into that happened in the Wonder Woman finale to Revenge of the Gods. I'm like, who wrote this? It happened in Young Justice. I'm like, what is happening here? In Tim Seeley books. I'm like, what? Why is this happening? And it makes me feel bad because Chip Getler likes the guy a whole lot. Tim Seeley does decent art. He writes stuff too, and he should stick to art. Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman, John Kent. This is a crime that you're not reading this, TM. This right here, Defy. It's real good. You have the DC Universe app, though, don't you?
Yeah, I'll probably go and read it then.
Yeah. Well, that means it'll be there eventually. Depending on, it'll either be there in a couple of months or in 1 month. Needless to say, this is a great story. This issue specifically, we know we have John was saved from Ultraman by the Injustice Superman. So we have John on the Injustice planet, kind of spending a day in the world, kind of just going around looking at this peaceful world that's being ruled by Superman and explaining how his mom died and you were supposed to be born before she died, kind of thing, and blah blah blah. And he spends some time just flying around, trying to get a lay of the land and stuff. And he's realizing that people are afraid of the S on his chest, and he quickly realizes that he knows why, and it kind of, what's coming, kind of thing. But great story. Paul, what are you working on diligently over there? Oh, Batman 900. Do you want to talk on that one, or are you still flipping through it?
No, I'm done. I finished it.
Well, go ahead.
It is. If there's a version of Batman that you have ever liked in the past 85 years, he is probably in here somewhere. It's almost kind of, because it's number 900, it almost seems like it's kind of like a love letter to, yes, you have the Michael Keaton Batman, you have the Golden Age Batman, you have the Batman 66, including a nice call out to the Batman 66 movie. Because there's, as always, Mark, I know you love like floating fish in space. There is some sharks here, which is actually kind of, I think, almost a call out, I think, to the Marshall Rogers and Denny O'Neil, the Laughing Fish story that they did in the 70s. Only this is sharks, and luckily. The Batman 66 actually gives the Batman moving through all the different multiverses a can of. He gives him his utility belt to take with him, and in it there is shark repellent, bat shark repellent, and so he uses that obviously to to take care of the sharks. But there's the Frank Miller Batman. There's the Arkham series Batman, the video game Arkham series Batman.
Ooh.
There is basically almost every Batman you could put. There's Batman Beyond. Absolutely. So we find out basically what happens. There's the Alex Ross Batman, the Kingdom Come. Yeah. There is the Dark Reign Batman from the Kelly.
Worlds. Yeah, Gotham by Gaslight Batman has a panel. Literally all of them. There's the video game Batman
Yep.
that he was talking about.
What we find out is that this person who is supposedly the Joker in the universe that Batman is stuck in has multiversal energy, and he's traveling through, and he finds out that he wants to go and he wants to help. He wants to find out. He wants to create himself to be a Joker. But what's happening is by traveling to these different multiverses, he is actually the cause of creating Jokers in all of these different universes instead. And so it's kind of a weird thing. So he's hopping from universe to universe, and we even get one where he's there, and there's an implication that he has created a fourth Joker. So it even talks about the three Jokers story as well. Now maybe there's actually a fourth. So yeah, I mean, I know there was some problems with Chip Zdarsky and everything that he did coming up to this, but the payoff for the fail-safe and the multiverse Batman definitely was worth it, I think.
It was a huge fan service moment. It worked out good.
Mm-hmm.
There is a second post-credit scene, and you're gonna want to. Man, I wish you would have made the show. We just wrapped up the Guardian talk, but there most certainly is a second post-credit scene. I'm already going to go out on a limb and say you loved it because it was fantastic. Well, we got Monkey running amok in here, and be honest with you guys, I'm about to have to hop off here and go slay some children.
I thought you were doing the Legion loot tonight.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I do have that wheel up. Let's do that. Good
So
save.
Robert Venditti was the third person who's writing. He's writing the Sandman story.
Oh, dude, that should be solid.
I'm definitely putting that on my pull list now.
So, real quick, I want to show everybody what's in the Legion loot, and we'll draw a winner. And I already have next month's Legion loot all picked out. So, if you're a channel member in the Legion tier, you do have to be in the Legion tier to be entered. But we have the pieces from Legal Burning. There's a creature from the Black Lagoon and that beautiful Todd McFarlane Spawn cover. The Big Time Collectibles edition, we have the Felipe Masafera Fantastic Four, issue number 48, it looks like. Gorgeous cover.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Miko Suion Thor issue something, limited to 1,000 Virgin variant. We have the Spider-Gwen Gwenverse number 3, David Nakayama Virgin variant. And then we have the Batman Joker Dudley Duo number 1, Miko Suion Virgin variant. And then I threw in one of those Spider-Man 7 that people were chasing after, in case somebody missed it. It's the first appearance of the new Spider-Boy. We have Amazing Spider-Man 129 reprint. Action Comics 1050 signed by writer Philip Kennedy Johnson with the certificate of authenticity, limited to 50 signatures. This is number 36. And there's some unpassable covers that dropped this week. That gorgeous Poison Ivy cover for issue number 11. And the Batman Joker Deadly Duo Bill Sienkiewicz set. Those are just wicked. They look a lot better in person than sitting here with the light shining on them, but they're super dope. And then the Venom 18, that Scotty Young variant that came out. And then lastly, Daredevil Father issue number 1 from 2004. This is from Wizard World Philadelphia, and it's the Joe Quesada sketch variant in the CGC 9.8. So all of that is going to one lucky channel member. Again, thank you to the channel members. We have 100 channel members total at this point. I got the notification. Congratulations that we passed the 100 channel member mark. So that's awesome. The channel continues to grow. It still blows my mind. Thank you all so much. If you're a channel member, thank you. If you're a channel member in the Legion tier, your name is in the hat. If you're not in a Legion tier, be sure to upgrade it to that before the first Sunday of next month, and you'll be entered in the next one.
How much is a legion in old Roman times? Is it 100? Do we have a legion of legion?
It's just $1.99 for the Legion supporter tier, and then it's I think it's $5.99 for the Legion tier.
No, what I meant was like in the Roman army, like a legion was like 100 or 1,000.
I understood your question. I was just answering it that way. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the honest answer, but I was just rolling with the promotional talk. So thank you all. All the names are on the wheel here. So let's go ahead and spin this bad boy and see who the winner of this month. This is the April Legion loot box. So the May one will go out the first Sunday of next month. And the winner is Coco Red 7. Boom. Big shout out to
Go!
John's been a channel member from day one. That was a political answer. Exactly. So next month, the May Legion loot box will be given away the first Sunday of next month. And this is what will be included in it. We have the legal burning piece of Obi-Wan and keeping the Star Wars theme on those.
Nice.
Got Darth Vader. Since Secret Invasion is coming, got a Secret Invasion #1, Scotty Young. If you missed out on it, Dr. Von Hoot in the Spiral Dimension.
Hoot, 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 hoot.
Thank you, TM. Did his very first exclusive, and I bought a couple of them off of him, so I'll throw one of those in there if you missed that. We have the Spider-Man #1 Virgin variant from Big Time Collectibles from Felipe Masafera art. The Miko Suion Predator issue #1 Big Time Collectibles. The Deadly Duo Con exclusive. That's a black and white. Super scary. And the Batman 125.
Well, I like that.
And then because it's kind of Guardians-ish out these days, we have Avengers 257, the first appearance of Nebula.
Nice.
Marvel Spotlight #6 on Star-Lord, the first appearance of Star-Lord in comic book. X-Men 1 reprint. If you missed it, Liam Sharp's magnum opus, Starhenge Book 1, The Dragon and the Boar, the brand new hardback, still factory sealed. I ordered a few of those. So that'll be going out. And then we have from 1974, the last Len Wein story on Swamp Thing with issue #13 in the CGC 8.0.
Nice.
This Legion box will be mine next month.
So again, that'll be what goes in the channel member thank you gift. You have to be a channel member in the Legion tier to have your name in the drawing for those. So if that's something that you're interested in, and also get you early access to a lot of the content, I do put like the new comic book day video. I put that out early for all channel members, but the rest of the videos I do, like this glorious video that I have for tomorrow with Todd McFarlane, Michael.
So big it doesn't even fit in the shot.
No, it doesn't. That video is coming out tomorrow for everyone else, but it's been up since like last Friday or last Thursday, I think, for channel members that have the early access. There's so many levels to his anger in that sentence. Star Wars print. He'd be so pissed. If y'all missed that Howard Chaykin interview on Haven's Comics, if you want to see what it looks like for Howard to emotionally murder people in under 1 minute, go check it out, because it happened. But a big shout out and congratulations to Coco, and thank you to all the channel members out there. And be sure to have a good night. We're wrapping it up. Check out Between the Lines tomorrow. It should be on Roscoe's channel, right?
Yeah, and then this Wednesday, chatting with the comic community, I'll have 22 comics on.
Oh, dope. So Geek Out with Roscoe on YouTube. Swaps Weeks with TM hosting Between the Lines. Who's on with y'all?
Ramblin' Rod.
What's the theme?
I think the theme is like cringy remakes. So like cringy remakes of like you make it up, like make a remake of a Saturday morning cartoon, but make it cringy.
Tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills. You should look that up. That's the one. That's the one. Paul, what we got going on tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, we have the latest DC Deep Dive. Mark and I will be talking about the dawn of DC. We'll be talking about the Superman family of books. So we'll be taking a look at all 4 of the books that have come out so far as part of Dawn of DC: Action, Superman, Adventures of Superman, Jonathan Kent, and Superboy. And then Wednesday night at 9:30, we will have, I guess, that key. It will be Mark and
Hey.
myself, and we'll have Mr. Comicx 89 and our very only Flash by Night. TJ will be on as well.
He's there for the bullshit.
Hmm.
It's gonna be fun. I can't wait. Oh wow, you found a new comic shop
That's
only
awesome.
4 miles away. Yo, that's a life hack right there. Where my LCS is now takes me about 20 minutes to get there. Where they're moving to, their new store is literally right by the entrance to my neighborhood.
Nice.
Yeah. I was talking to Pops and stuff. All to do, because I'm going to do a little video of the new store, do a store tour. And I figured I'd start my video like I normally do. I do my intro, then just grab my phone instead of having it on the laptop. Get up, just get in the car, and just drive out the neighborhood to the store and go in and start talking to Paul. That'd be pretty cool. It'll be fun. But I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. If you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 at this point, there's really no reason to waste your money. We've told you what happens. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.